The FedLife podcast is presented by Serving Those Who Serve, a fiduciary, fee-based financial planning firm serving federal government employees and retirees all over the country. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be taken as financial advice. All listeners should consult their personal advisors before taking any action. The opinions expressed by our hosts are their own and do not reflect the views, policies, or position of Raymond James. Securities are offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. Serving Those Who Serve is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services, Inc. And now, here are your hosts. Dan Sipe serves as a branch manager for Raymond James Financial Services and Serving Those Who Serve. Ed Zerndorfer is our guest and federal benefits expert in the space.
I'm your host, Dan Sipe. Additionally, I'm the branch manager here at Raymond James Financial Services, as well as Serving Those Who Serve. Additionally, I'm the branch manager here at Serving Those Who Serve and Lee Sipe and Associates. I will begin, as I always do, by saying thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen. And above all, thank you for your service to the government, to the country, to me, to everybody. You don't hear it enough. You will always hear that here. The other thing you're always going to hear on FedLife is the guru, Ed Zerndorfer. He's back with us again as part of our ongoing mission to reach, teach, and serve you. Now, at the outset, I have to say the opinions of our guest, Ed Zerndorfer, no matter how awesome they are not the opinions of Raymond James Serving Those Who Serve. This podcast is presented for information only and not intended to be taken as advice. All listeners should consult their personal advisors before taking any action. And if you don't have a personal advisor, hit us up at Serving Those Who Serve. We will help you any way we can. So once again, we're following Ed's FedZone articles, which are great reads. You should go there every single week and read them. That's at fed-zone.com. And it's one more way that we can reach and teach. So, Ed, we begin a new year, and one of your more recent articles could not be more timely because it's time for feds to set their TSP contributions for the year. That's important. So you begin by telling folks that they got the opportunity to increase the limit that they can put in. So let's start there. Tell us about that.
Okay, so Dan, the TSP announced, as actually in November, that the 2024 contribution limits are increasing in particular, for all federal employees, no matter what their age is. They can contribute an extra $500 to the TSP during 2024. The contribution limit for 2023 for all employees, no matter what their ages are, was $22,500. For 2024, it's going to increase $23,000, an extra $500, which, when you think about it, since there are 26 pay dates, that's roughly an extra $20 every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, they can contribute to the TSP. Now, for those employees who will be at least age 50 by the end of 2024, that is December 31st, 2024, no matter when they turn 50 during 2024, of course, if they're older, they can contribute an extra $7,500, the same catch-up contribution limit as it was in 2020. That is not increasing. It's going to stay the same. So all employees will be at least age 50 as of December 31st, 2024, will contribute a total of $30,500.
Gotcha.
2024.
Gotcha. And that's important that folks know because it won't happen automatically. They got to do something to make sure that happens. And that's what we're talking about here.
That is correct.
Now,
you have to make a formal election to increase your contributions.
And one thing that you point out in your article, little different wrinkle this year, the first official pay of 2024 might be a bit later than folks are used to. Why so?
There's a lot of confusion about this, Dan. I get a lot of questions about this. When it comes to the TSP, in terms of timing your contributions, increase your contributions, you have to think pay dates, not pay periods. Employees get paid on what is called a cash basis. Now, which means that, in plain terms, it means that your first opportunity, if you're an employee, to contribute more to the TSP will be your first pay date in January 2024. Probably not this week, probably sometime next week. Now, I'm saying that, Dan, is because this year, I should say 2023, for federal employees, at most agencies, there are 27 paid periods. And we have to think about the leave year. Leave year 2023 at most federal agencies started on January the 1st, 2023, and the end of the 2023 paid leave year will be January the 13th, 2024. That is the end of pay period 27. There are 27 pay periods in leave year 2023. That happens every 11 years. This was the year. Therefore, when federal employees were working throughout 2023, at most agencies, pay period 26 for leave year 2023 started on Sunday, December the 17th, was the start of pay period 26 for for leave year 2023, and that's going to end on Saturday, December 30th, 2023. But they're going to get paid for pay period 26 in early January. That's the first pay. That's the first pay date in 2024, and that is their first opportunity to contribute more to the TSP. That first pay date. So even though it's for leave year 2023, they're being paid for that pay period in 2023 in early January, and that is their first opportunity. Also, there are 26 paid dates in calendar year 2024. So that's what you have to base your contribution amounts on. If you want to spread out the extra contributions you're going to be able to make, the 500, we just mentioned a few moments ago, the $500, you can spread it over 26 pay dates. That's roughly an extra $20 every 2 weeks during 2024.
Gotcha. Now, you also point out, and folks may miss this, so folks who are planning to retire or leave service in 2024, they can still put the full amount in, even if they're not going to work the whole year, right?
That is correct, Dan. I get this question quite a lot. Ed, I'm going to be retiring in the middle of the year. That means I only can put in half the amount I'm allowed to when it comes to TSP. That's correct. That's totally incorrect. You are allowed to put in the full amount that you're entitled to, which for 2024 is $23,000 or $30,500, depending on your age. No matter when you retire during 2024, or for that matter, Dan, you may leave federal service. Once you leave federal service, you're not allowed to contribute to the TSP. Once you retire from federal service, you're not allowed to contribute to the TSP. But up until that last pay date, you can put in the full amount you're entitled to and get the matching if you're first employee.
Gotcha. And I think this is also a pretty good time to revisit that there's two options within TSP, traditional and Roth. So talk a little bit about those, Ed.
Yes. And employees who contribute to the TSP have the option of contributing to the traditional TSP. That's the pre-tax. That's the one that's been around since 1987. And they also have the opportunity to contribute to the Roth TSP. The Roth TSP. That's the one that started. That's in which you're putting your money in with after-tax dollars. The Roth TSP. The benefit of the Roth TSP is that when you take the money out, when you withdraw the money after age 59 and a half, everything coming out is going to be tax-free. There's a lot of confusion about the Roth TSP in the following sense, that I hear from federal employees, well, I heard that there's an income limit. I'm not allowed to contribute to the Roth TSP if my income is too high. That is true, but that is only true when it comes to Roth IRAs. The Roth TSP has no such rule. No matter what your adjusted gross income is during the year, you are always allowed to contribute to the Roth TSP. Also, I get this question, well, I heard I only can put in, I was looking at I'm looking at advertisement that said in the paper, it said I'm only allowed to contribute $6,500 or $7,500 to this thing called Roth. I think it said Roth IRA. Yeah, that's a Roth IRA. There is no such limit when it comes to the TSP. Once again, I'll repeat: an employee, no matter what their income is, contribute to the traditional TSP, the Roth TSP, or a combination of both. But their total contributions, Dan, cannot exceed this year 23,000 employees under 50, or 30,500 employees age 50 or older. You can put in your entire amount into the Roth TSP when it comes to the Roth TSP. I want to add one more thing, that if you are a FERS employee, and you are entitled to, from your agency, an automatic 1% of your gross salary contribution to the TSP from the agency, you also are entitled to get a maximum matching contribution from your agency of 4%. If you're contributing at least 5% each pay date, you get a match from your agency of 4%. It makes no difference what you as the employee are contributing to, traditional, Roth, or both. Your agency contributions, the 1% and the 4% match, will always be put into your traditional TSP account. Nothing will ever be put into your Roth account.
Gotcha. And that's so important, because I agree with you. So many people have the misconception about there's an income limit, or don't realize they could put it all into Roth. The match will just go to traditional. And Ed, as usual, you give us some great examples for making these calculations for people to maximize under 50 and over 50. So I think that's important enough. Then I'm going to go ahead and share screens here. Ed, this is from your article, and it's such a great example that I wanted to share it with the folks and have you take us through it, because you've got the individual's worksheet, and then you talk about two different ones. So take this away, Ed. Okay.
Now, the basis of the worksheet, Dan, is as follows, and is really geared for FERS employees, because I have a basic premise when it comes to contributing to the TSP. And this is mainly for FERS employees, that you may not be able to contribute the maximum for the year. That might be difficult. We encourage you to. But if you're a FERS employee, you have to contribute a minimum 5% each pay date. Now, why do I say that? You always, no matter whether you contribute or not, you always get, if you're a FERS employee, get a 1% of your gross pay contribution to your TSP account. But in order to get the maximum matching contribution, which is 4%, you as the employee must contribute at least 5% each pay date. Now, that can be to the traditional TSP or to the Roth TSP. Makes no difference. But you have to contribute at least 5% each pay date. And that will result, if you're contributing at least 5% each pay date, that you'll get a maximum 4% match. Which means in reality, Dan, if you're contributing at least 5% each pay date, for the year, there'll be 10% being contributing to your TSP account. That matching, I call it free money. It's a bonus that you're going to look back in retirement. Gee, I'm so glad I did that. Let me just say one thing else. There might be some employees out there, FERS employees, who are very ambitious. And I applaud that. When I say ambitious, we're fine. They want to contribute as much as possible and get the money into the TSP as early in the year as possible. Because the sooner you get that money in, your contributions, and you're investing, no matter how you're investing it, in the 5 core funds or the L funds, you're accruing interest, dividends, things like that over time, the faster you get it, you put the money in, the faster it's going to grow. But you got to be careful, because if you end up reaching the $23,000 contribution limit or the $30,500 contribution limit if you're 50 or older, before your last pay date in 2024, suppose you reach it, let's say, in the middle of September, what's going to happen is your agency will contribute to 1% of gross pay, but they will not give you any matching. So you do not want to be caught that way, because in so doing, if you end up reaching the $30,000, $23,000, $30,500 limit, I call it you're leaving money on the table. That
Absolutely.
bonus. So my worksheet here assures that that's not going to happen. So let me just show up here top what I have here. Employees at this time, and I really encourage, as soon as, if they have not done so, should decide how much do they want to contribute to the TSP this year. Have an idea. Set a dollar amount. You know what the limit is: $23,000 or $30,500. And on this line here, put that amount. Then, on the next line, once this is implemented, how many more pay dates are going to be left in 2024? So check with your HR personal office, find out, well, how many more pay dates do I have left between now and the end of December 2024? And put that number there, and then divide the first line here by that number of pay dates, and that will tell you the amount to be deducted from your biweekly salary, starting with the first, whenever it's going to start, how long it may take your agency, maybe a few days to implement this. Well, when it's going to start, that's going to be out. It's going to be deducted from now through your last pay date. It helps to do an example, Dan. And so I always like to do examples. Let's move on to the example here. So I'll read it for those people who cannot be able to read it. We have Elizabeth. She's a federal employee. She's age 43. Elizabeth wants to maximize her 2024 TSP contributions. She's covered by FERS and wants to make sure that she receives the maximum 4% matching contribution from her agency during 2024. So Elizabeth uses the worksheet here to determine her biweekly TSP contribution during 2024, starting with her first pay date in January 2024. Elizabeth did this last week. She wants to get started right away. All right. So here's what Elizabeth's going to be doing. She's going to contribute a total of $23,000. She's under 50. She's 43. But note here, Dan, she's going to put $16,000 into a traditional TSP and $7,000 into Roth TSP. Like I said, she can mix it up, but the total contributions cannot exceed $23,000. She went through HR. She found out, well, there's going to be 26 pay dates in 2024. She divides 26 into 22,000. She comes up with $884.62. So starting with her first pay date in this month, January 2024, she's going to have $884.62 deducted from her paycheck. Some of that will be going to the Roth TSP, some is going to go to Roth TSP. That's how it will work for Elizabeth. Now, if somebody out there is just getting started and there's only going to be 25 pay dates left in there, then you have to change the math a little bit. Okay, you got to figure out how many more pay dates are remaining. One other example, we have Sean. Now he's 62. This is interesting. He's going to retire on September 30th, 2024. We mentioned a few moments ago. Even if you're going to retire in the middle of the year or towards the end of the year, in his case, you still can put in the full amount. And he knows he's going to be retiring at the end of pay period 19. Before he retires, Sean wants to pay the maximum possible during 2024, which is $30,500. He's over 50, so he can put in $30,500 and receive the maximum 4% matching agency matching contribution. Sean uses the following worksheet to determine how much he should have deducted from his salary during 2024, starting with his first pay date in January. Okay, so Sean's going to put in the full $30,000. Note here again, he's putting $20,500 traditional TSP, $10,500 into the Roth TSP for a total of $30,500. Sean will be retiring at the end of pay period 19. He's going to get paid for pay period 19 and that last pay period, 19, which means he'll have 20 pay dates. I didn't say pay periods, pay dates throughout 2020 to 24. Divide 20 to 30,500, which comes up with 1,525 hours, starting with his first pay date will be deducted from his paycheck.
Gotcha.
That's how the worksheet works.
Gotcha. No, that's great, Ed.
Go ahead.
Yep.
I get this question, Ed. I'm going to be retiring this year, and I'm going to get paid for my unused annual leave. Can I allocate
I know where you're going.
my unused annual leave to the TSP? And they have to say you cannot. You cannot do that. So in reality, your final pay date is your last opportunity to contribute to the TSP. It's your last paycheck.
Gotcha. And our feds can make these changes through their agency's processing centers?
Yeah, things like MyPay or EPP, Employee Express. That's how they make changes to the amount that they're contributing to the TSP.
Gotcha. But the important thing, folks, is remember, even though the IRS said you can put in more, TSP is not going to know that you want to do that. So you got to take the step. You got to do some January math, folks, or December math if you want to get ahead of the game so that you're ready to put that number in so you get it all in there. Right, Ed?
That's absolutely correct, Dan.
Well, once again, brother, you took something that I see it. A lot of people just miss this. And I'm glad we're doing this. I think we should make this an annual thing where we just remind people as we're coming into a new year, hey, if they've given us the opportunity to maximize, let's go ahead and take care of that. So, Ed, on behalf of all of our feds and especially us here at Serving Those Who Serve, I want to say thank you for being such a great resource and teaching everybody as much as you do.
My pleasure, Dan. It's always a pleasure.
Well, folks, that is a wrap. We are Serving Those Who Serve, so be sure hit that subscribe button to this podcast on our YouTube channel and Spotify. Please remember to share it with friends and strangers. You can check us out on Twitter and LinkedIn. And do not forget the live webinars every week. This guy right here teaching, and you don't have to go anywhere for it. You can watch in your bunny slippers. We don't care. So he will be there to reach you where you are, teach you where you are, serve you where you are. So head to stwserve.com. You'll see the blue webinar button. Click it, and the whole menu will go up. There's tons of them. Tons. So sign up for one, sign up for all, and share that with your friends. They will thank you. Be sure to read Ed every single month in the Fed Zone. That's fed-zone.com. Actually, he's there every single week. Every single week, go in there because there's something great. Do not miss that. So closing out for Ed, the crew in Serving Those Who Serve, and me, Dan Sipe, I will sign off as I always do by saying good luck, Godspeed, and above all, remember, it's your Fed life. Please make it a great one because you deserve it. Stay well, everybody. We are out.